How are you getting in here
but
and doing whatever?
you know who?
These cowards love to pick on women.
Stop.
And
Stop.
doing whatever you think you can do.
Stop. What's
with us in
going
this
on?
country.
I need a security here. Get away from me.
I'm asking you.
Get away from me.
I'm just asking you a question.
Get away from me.
I'm just asking a question. No, you're not. Shut up. This is one of those conversations that people rush through and then pretend that they don't understand what you're saying. When people hear the word racism, they still imagine it looking loud, right? Slurs, screaming, or somebody saying something outrageous in public. And because of that, people convince themselves that if they're not doing those specific actions, then they're not part of the problem. But that's not how most of this works anymore. A lot of harm being done to black people today does not come from loud hatred. It comes from playing dumb. It comes from white people acting like they have no idea what they're doing while benefiting from the outcome. And that's what we're talking about today. Weaponized incompetence. Not I didn't know or I didn't mean to, but it's the I'll act clueless after the damage is already done. Because when things go left, suddenly nobody's responsible. But when things go right, they know exactly what they're doing. You see how that works? Weaponized incompetence is pretending to be ignorant only when accountability shows up. It's not real confusion. It's selective confusion. It's knowing how to do something when it serves you and suddenly forgetting how it works when it hurts someone else.
We are all descended from slaves. It's just a question of when. Was it more recent or less recent? That's it.
That doesn't mean a lot to a whole lot of people who aren't able to take advantage of the opportunities that you were able to take advantage of, simply because the color of your skin.
What advantages did the color of my skin give me?
There's an ease that you have in society that many people of color don't. And there's a legacy of racism that still continues on in this country.
If we keep talking about it nonstop, it will never go away.
If slavery never happened, then you would be in a grass hut.
Yeah.
Right? Well, we need reparations. Your reparations are that you get to live in America. You're welcome.
You get to have the Christian religion.
That's
live
right.
better than your ancestors
The
ever
greatest
would have.
moment in history for any brown or black country is the moment that the white man's ships arrive on your shore.
What did your ancestors honestly have to do? Tend to livestock, clean houses, pick cotton? Dumb black people.
And you cannot tie imperialism and racism and slavery to just one race, which is pretty much what every single exhibit does. But let's talk about the fact that when you
tie slavery,
let's talk about the fact that
slavery in America was.
do you realize that only less than 2% of white Americans owned slaves?
But it was a system of white supremacy.
You realize that slavery is thousands of years old?
White people were
Do you know
the slave
who
owners.
was the first race to try to end slavery?
And that falls under weaponized incompetence, because now all of a sudden slavery wasn't that bad, or it was something that we should actually be thankful for, according to them. So to come to that conclusion, you're purposely being ignorant. They play dumb when it doesn't align with their beliefs, even though everything is factually proven. It's saying, oh wow, I didn't realize that would happen, after you pushed it, funded it, promoted it, and defended it. And white America uses this tactic constantly against black people, especially when it comes to culture, crime, music, poverty, and violence. They love the profit, they love the entertainment, and they love the chaos. But they absolutely hate the accountability. And the reason this works so well is because it gives people a way to stay involved without ever having to feel responsible. You get to enjoy the benefits, distance yourself from harm, and still feel morally clean at the end of the day. And one of the biggest places that you see this play out is in how white America handles black culture. So let's talk about rap music, because this is one of the clearest examples. The white people who run the music industry are not confused. The labels aren't confused. The executives aren't confused. And the investors are not confused. These are the same people who track engagement down to the second. They know what sells and they know what trends. And over again, the versions that they fund and reward are the most destructive ones.
Now they seem like they're making it cool to be drinking lean and syrup, and
it's the most dangerous. It's the most dangerous thing that's facing our society.
So why sign an artist that would promote that?
Because she asked me talent or issues, and I said talent.
Don't you think that's hypocritical though?
It's opportunistic. Yeah. I got people to feed. I got a business to run.
Music centered around unaliving, drugs, death, chaos, and self-destruction gets marketed the hardest, playlisted the most, and pushed the furthest. They don't just allow it, they incentivize it. They sign artists specifically for that reason. And that's not because that's how all black people are. That's because that image is the most profitable. But when violence happens in real life, or when communities are affected, suddenly it's, why is black culture like this? Why do black people glorify violence? Or why doesn't the black community do better? As if the same people asking those questions weren't the ones cutting the checks, green lighting the content, and deciding what the world sees.
Okay, this isn't just ghetto black culture. This is demon culture. Not only has rap music just utterly destroyed black culture, but more and more people, white people, Mexican people, are listening to rap music, and it's affecting the American public.
Rap glorifies violence and murder. I'll smoke that N-word if you test me. I'ma bust the cap in your ass.
Notice how there's no mention of the role that white people play in rap music, even though they're the ones that are funding it, incentivizing it, and promoting it. That's weaponized incompetence. And trust me, I already know what some of y'all are thinking. Well, black people need to take accountability for the music they make, because if they didn't make that music, white people wouldn't have anything to push out in the first place. But you gotta understand something. In every community on earth, every race, every group, there's going to be degeneracy. That's universal. It doesn't matter which group you identify with. I could look at the white community right now and point out certain problems, real issues that are in y'all community. But those problems don't reflect all white people. They don't define the entire group. Now, imagine if I zoomed in on just those issues, funded them, promoted them, and pushed them nonstop to the world over and over again. Eventually, people would start believing that that image represents all white people. But it wouldn't, right? It would only be a reflection of a small selective group, not you all as a whole. And not to mention that there's a lot of black artists that don't promote degeneracy at all, but they never get the same push. And a lot of times they're actually told to make more violent music so they can get that push.
I wasn't on stages like this. I was on rap stages rapping about, you know, violence and guns. You know, that we get paid to rap about that stuff. They actually pay us more when we rap about more ignorant stuff, so I make sure.
This pattern doesn't stop with music. It's movies, TV, social media, the news, you name it. They boost degeneracy when it makes money, then shame us when it becomes visible. They'll amplify a clip of a black person doing something stupid before they would ever show us doing something normal or ordinary. Because chaos, fear, and stereotypes sell. So they push it when it makes money, but once there's backlash, now it's about personal choices, free expression, or nobody forced anyone to do anything. Now that sounds reasonable on the surface, but it ignores one key thing: power. When you control the platforms, the funding, and the visibility, you don't get to act like you're just a passive observer. You're shaping what people consume, how they see us, and what narratives dominate. So acting clueless after the fact doesn't erase that. We're not stupid like how y'all think we are. That same confusion shows up whenever crime gets brought up. You'll see crime stats thrown around with no context, mugshots blasted everywhere, and viral clips being pushed nonstop. No discussion about policy, no discussion about history, and no discussion about economic conditions.
Statistically, a white person is 30 times more likely to be killed by a black person than the other way around. We know that. That's just true. In 2019, there were about 560,000 violent interracial incidents between blacks and whites. 470,000 of them were black on white. That's 85%. 85%. 240 black people were killed by whites. 560 white people were killed by blacks.
Here's the thing that really gets me. The left and the media with all the microphones will tell us that white men are the problem. White supremacists are the biggest threat to this nation and the entire world. If white guys would just go away, all of our problems would be solved. But you know what I actually see with my own two eyes? I see hundreds of millions of dollars in fraud being perpetrated by the Somali community in Minnesota. I see a story just about every day at this point of a mentally ill, drug-addicted black man beating or stabbing or punching a random white woman on the street.
Why do we always see the perpetrator being black?
Man, I don't know. I love all people. My roommates are black. I'm done.
Why do we always see the perpetrator being black? Being black. Being black.
The goal isn't understanding, it's reinforcement. Then they turn around and say stuff like, see, this is just how they are. But when you bring up redlining, mass incarceration, over-policing, underfunding, or the deliberate destruction of black wealth, suddenly it's, that was a long time ago. Or, I didn't personally do that. Or, why are you bringing up the past? They understand systems perfectly when those systems benefit them. But when those same systems explain inequality, now they suddenly can't follow the same logic anymore. Social media made weaponized incompetence even easier. Now people hide accusations behind questions. They frame stereotypes as observations and disrespect as curiosity. They already know what they're implying, but they don't want to stand on it directly. They're not curious. They're laundering an accusation through fake confusion. You already know what you're implying, you just don't want to stand on it. That's why it's very passive aggressive. Because if you push back, now all of a sudden you're just too sensitive. You're labeled emotional, sensitive, aggressive, even though nothing about the original comment that was made was innocent. And this allows people to attack without owning it and insult us while trying to pretend like they're just here to understand.
Let me ask a question. How do you get to this country and have this much money to start a store and buy houses for $500,000?
$500,000? What is that?
The house on Crossridge that you were trying to buy for $500,000.
On Crest?
Crossridge, that you put an offering for $500,000.
Oh, well, they will finance you.
I'm trying to ask.
Hey.
I'm
Be
trying to ask.
nice.
No.
What's going on?
I'm trying to ask. How are you getting in here and doing whatever the fuck you want?
Who? Stop.
And doing whatever you think you can do.
Stop. What's
with us in
going
this
on?
country.
I need a security here. Get away from me.
I'm asking you.
Get away from me.
I'm just asking you a question.
Get away from me.
Why are you buying? How do you have money to buy all this bread?
Security, please. I need a security. Get away from me.
I'm just asking. How come?
Get away from me.
Why people?
Security, please.
Why people can't fill a shopping cart? But these come in our country.
Who's monkey? Can somebody call me a security, please?
And they come in this country. These ones too. What are you guys doing? You gonna fill up a whole shopping cart? Are you gonna fill a whole shopping cart up?
Don't talk to him. Don't talk to him. Take your stupid camera somewhere.
When white people dominate an industry, they get praised for intelligence. When black people dominate an industry, it gets framed as degeneracy. When white kids act out, it's he's troubled, he has mental health issues. But when black kids do the same thing, it's a culture problem, fatherless, or a community problem. It's the same behavior, just different excuses. Because incompetence only becomes believable when it protects power. They do this because it's the cleanest way to keep control without ever looking like the villain. And that's very important to them. They never want to look like the bad guy. Outright hatred is risky nowadays. Well, in some cases, it's starting to become more accepted. Being openly racist can cost you your job, your reputation, and certain access to specific places. In some cases, because nowadays we're seeing a lot of racist people being funded. So instead of saying what they really feel, a lot of people learn to hide behind confusion. They learn how to act unaware while still benefiting from the same systems. That way, they still get the power, but they don't get any of the blame. They get to profit off black culture, but when the outcome turns ugly, they can step back and act like spectators instead of participants. It creates this distance where they can judge without ever acknowledging how involved they actually are. And that distance is very important for them. Just look at the Luigi Mangione or whatever his name is case. That's what happens when people start to realize and actually ask legitimate questions. Because if they had to admit how much control they actually have, then they'd have to admit how much responsibility comes with it. They'd have to confront the fact that a lot of what they criticize doesn't just happen organically. It was funded, protected, and encouraged by people that look just like them.
Folks, I hate to say it, but white folks are largely professional gaslighters when it comes to race. We are professional liars when it comes to race. It's part of white supremacy and how it functions and how it works. From the very first African that was enslaved, we have been gaslighting black folks as white people. That's our culture. That's our tradition. That's our indoctrination. And that's what we do. And that's what we do best. If we teach the truth, what will happen? White supremacy could be threatened. Economic advantages for white people, the dominant position could be threatened. They're threatened. Like all bullies are threatened. They're threatened by their victims.
So instead, they convince themselves that a different story makes sense. A story where black people are just naturally dysfunctional, where violence is cultural, and where poverty is just a personal failure. They remember parts of the system that makes them feel innocent, but they somehow forget the parts that make them complicit. So playing dumb becomes a shield, and that's why this keeps happening. It's not by accident, it's by design.